Hey everybody, this is Skeet.
This is Moshin Mikey over here.
Rock and Roll Roundtable.
Oh, yeah. Proudly presented by our good friends at the Moshman Media.
This week, call it quits.
Yeah. Call it quits. Bands that we may or may not think need to call it a day, call it a career, based on what they're doing currently. Bands that maybe should have never tried to revamp their career because they suck a little bit. It just got it's not gonna be all negative, but it's gonna be some, you know. I think there's some out right now that we know probably aren't doing their best work, right? Mm.
There's probably a few. A lot of them are established bands, and some of the guys are just kind of dragging it out and should probably hang it up. And I think that's probably what you're talking about for this week. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've just heard some bands' latest material, and one of them is gonna hurt your feelings, I know, but it's Motley Crue.
No, God.
This last EP, it ended up being an EP, I guess. Had the song "Dog of War" and it had "Canceled," which neither one of those are very. They're okay at best. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the Beastie Boys cover, which neither one of us really dug. I mean, I did think it was better live, but as far as on the EP, I just think that they're trying to polish a turd at this point. I really do. And I think the reason it really hit me more this week, the last couple weeks thinking about it, was when we did the trade-offs episode and I had to listen to the Karabi Motley Crue album.
Oh shit. Okay.
And just going from that to what they are now in that 30-year span, whatever it is, it's just a brutal difference. And
Yeah.
I think John Five's a great guitar player, but I don't think he's a Motley Crue guitar player per se for the new stuff. That's just my opinion. I think they did the farewell tour in what 2000 something.
Yeah.
Probably should have just stuck with that. Did some
2015, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah, so you're talking another 9 years tacked on that, which you start to think, is it really their love of the band or is it purely money at that point? And a lot of it comes through in the music to me. I don't know if their heart's not in it. Vince has lost a step or two or four or 5,000 steps.
Yeah.
The rest of the band, I mean, they're solid, I guess. But I don't know. Being as one of your favorite bands, what do you think of that idea?
I, I don't know. I mean, I understand they want to keep going, and I understand they still want to earn some cash, but I mean, you've seen Vince do his solo stuff, and it's always hit or miss. So why not continue to do that? You know,
Yeah, kind of
do
my
some
thought.
other stuff, and just kind of let the Motley name go. I mean, it could still be Motley Crue, and then every couple years they could do like a one-off show. You know what I'm saying? And say, okay, like an anniversary show. All right, well, we're just going to do this one show at the Rainbow, and get on, and maybe they could practice 2 or 3 months to get ready for this show, so everybody sounds good on
Right.
one fucking show, instead of continually trying to drag the shit down. I mean, uh, I don't know. John Five is great. He just needs to go back to Zombie, to Rob
Yeah,
Zombie,
or back to Marilyn Manson, wherever else he was
or
at.
yeah, whatever the fuck he was doing. I mean,
Yeah,
he's still got another 10 or 20 years that he could tour comfortably.
yeah, yeah.
And I mean,
I,
it's a shame to have to say it, but it's like, they probably should have called it quits at 2015. They really should.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you know how it took Kiss forever to call it quits, and they still have guys on the road. Gene's out right now. Gene Simmons is out with his band doing shows. Paul Stanley goes out with his soul band every so often and does his art thing. So it's like there's other stuff to occupy time, and I just think it's going to be sad that their legend that they're going to leave behind, their legacy, could get really could really get fucked up by coming out with bad stuff at the end, and you get assholes like me that think they're in for it just for the money or just forget about all the great stuff Motley Crue did back in the day.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, well, they can still do stuff, but I just think they need to kind of. I don't. I just didn't. I didn't like what they come up with. I really didn't. I didn't care for it
No, I mean,
overall. No, it
yeah,
wasn't. It wasn't very good. So I don't know if it's just because of the songs that they chose, or I mean, that might be the direction they're heading from now on. But it just
could
seems like
be.
they're chasing shit.
Oh, I get you. I get it. It's there's something about it that doesn't ring Motley Crue esque for me. I mean, I don't expect them to stay in shout at the devil and Dr. Feelgood mode for their whole career. It's great that you want to go out and branch out and do different things, but when you're doing stuff that's a lot worse, that's what, it might be time to reconsider what you're doing. But I mean, if you're not worried about your legacy, then they probably don't give a shit. But I just think it's sad for especially for guys like you that are big Motley Crue fans. You got to sit through this. It's like watching one of your favorite bands of all time just take a shit right in front of you, and it'd be hard to watch. It definitely would be hard to watch for me.
Well,
Yeah,
so you got to remember, they went through that whole period. Like they had Karabi for an album,
right,
and then they had Vince back, and that album. There was a lot of people that didn't accept that album, and it was so different. But at the time, I was still eager for Motley Crue. I wanted to hear what they
right,
did, and it was completely different from what they did. So this stuff now is completely different from what they've done. I mean, I didn't really care
right,
for Saints of Los Angeles, but it sounded like a Motley Crue album.
right. Yeah, more than this new stuff
Yeah.
does to me. Yeah,
So I don't know if it's just missing that element of Mick, and that was kind of a left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. Is oh, we got to pick Mick or we got to pick Motley, and it's like fuck that. Put
oh,
out good
yeah,
stuff. I mean, Mick Mars's stuff is not Motley Crue, but it's not bad material. So it's Mick Mars stuff. I can deal with
right.
it.
You know how many bands really they would be one of a very small percentage of bands that stay in the same lineup through their entire career. It's not very much happening. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Well, and then we could talk about Nico retiring.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be a different. Well, I guess I understand it to be he's retiring from playing live. He's not retiring from the band.
I
That's kind of the
think,
speech that Dickinson made, the speech that he wasn't leaving Iron Maiden, he was leaving playing live. That's what he said in Brazil at the last show, but that might turn into something where he's like, I don't really want to even play on the albums anymore. It could be. And the replacement's going to be, I mean, their replacement they got for Nico is a guy they know very well.
yeah,
So they won't have
exactly.
to worry. They won't have to worry about him fitting in with them. They all know him
Yeah,
through
British Lion,
Steve.
right?
Yeah,
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 that. So it's Steve's other band that he was touring with. So that's good,
yeah.
and he knows everybody in Iron Maiden. It's a completely different thing than what Motley Crue has going on.
True, true. It is a different scenario, and I think I don't like it when the drummer is a session. Only drums for the studio and then doesn't go on tour. I don't know why I don't. I guess I just want the person who wrote the drum tracks to play them live. So I mean, if that's what they choose to do with Nico, I'd be okay with it. But Iron Maiden is one of those that I don't listen to any of their new stuff. I really don't. But they're still intriguing as far as the tour goes. They would still be cool to go see. They're
Yeah.
still putting on great live shows. But their new studio stuff, dude, I couldn't really tell you. I know you kind of liked that last album, but I just didn't get into it like I did, prime Iron Maiden.
Well, okay. On the same token, if you almost have to get your mind frame where do you remember how you used to get like a new Queensryche album?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
Operation Mindcrime came out, and you listen to it and listen to it and listen to it. Am I right or wrong?
Oh yeah, yeah, big
Yeah.
time.
So you almost with this new stuff from these old bands, you just have to sit down and force yourself to listen to it and listen to it and listen to it, and then it's easier to pick the cool stuff out of it. If you just listen to it and say, "Okay, I heard it," and then fucking you don't listen to it,
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I really am.
I
About
was the same
more than
way.
once.
Saints of Los Angeles. I listened to it and I kind of went, eh, and I didn't keep listening to it. So, the older we get, the less we have time to sit down and constantly listen to this album over and over and over and over. You don't have the time to do that
Right.
shit. So
Well, yeah.
you almost have to retrain your brain to say, okay, I'm going to pop this in the truck or the vehicle and I'm going to listen to this every day for 2 weeks.
That's a little excessive.
Well, but that's what you got to do.
But, yeah, yeah. I mean, at least more than once.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I try to give everything I listen to 2 honest run-throughs before I start bashing it. Yeah, I mean, if I just don't like it, I'm not gonna go out and tell people, "Oh, it sucked," until I listen to it the second time. And if the second time still ain't getting it, then I'll have my opinions, but yeah, I mean, that's just one of those things, but Iron Maiden's still Iron Maiden. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form they should call it quits,
Oh no,
but they
because
yeah.
everybody's still doing a really good job of playing. And eventually, someone will get tired of it and be like, okay, I want to take a year or two off and then see
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
feel to come back. It's just the aging rock star. This is what we're having to fucking deal with.
Now,
So,
well, a lot of people could say I'm being hypocritical with that because I don't like the new Motley Crue, so I say it's time for them to give in. But I don't like the new Iron Maiden, and I'm not. The difference there is I've seen Motley Crue live in the past 6 months.
yeah.
They don't have it like they used to. I mean, it was spots were good, other spots were really bad. Vince was pretty bad on about 50%. So yeah, there's a difference there, I think, with the live performances ability because there's people that haven't put out albums in 10, 12 years that still tour excessively.
Okay.
And that's
So,
okay. Yeah.
my other point is, so you want the younger generations to pay attention to what you're doing. So you come up with new stuff,
All right.
and
Yeah.
you can't be Steely Dan for this younger generation. I mean, you can, but you probably
Yeah,
shouldn't.
you
You
can.
should probably play out. You really should play
Right.
out more
Yeah.
in order to,
Yeah, anymore that's how they make their living. Because, so many people can stream their albums and they're not getting paid worth a diddly shit for streaming.
well, yeah.
So, even millions upon millions of streams not gonna make your, band make your payroll. But, there's bands like some bands like to say Tool. They waited, what, 10, 12 years to put out an album? And they toured during that whole time, but then they put out an album. Guess what? They're good for another 10 years, probably. So, they make their money from touring. That's how you have to do it.
Well,
And that's why these bands keep going on tour. I actually believe it's for the money at that point.
well, they tour and the merch. So I
Yeah,
mean, technically, if you play a handful of shows a year, kind of like a local band, I guess you could still be successful. But
sure.
these guys, that's not what they're known for. You know what I
No,
mean?
no. Yeah, I get
You
it.
want to
I
see
do.
them live to see the show. Same way with Kiss. So, did they call it quits at the right time? Finally.
No, I thought like we've done a thing about Kiss before, and I don't think anything in the 2000s have been relevant. But I mean, there's Kiss fans that bought into everything. So maybe that's just me personally thinking they should have called it quits the first farewell tour in 2000. But a lot of Kiss fans would say, you know what? Fuck you, man. We like this stuff. So you're going to have that. You're going to have people that absolutely love this new Motley Crue stuff that are going to call me everything but a white boy. And that's
Well,
fine. I mean, it's just different opinions. But for me, I don't know how, as a true Motley Crue fan, you can think this is very good stuff. That's just me. And I'm like, I'm not a diehard by any means. But, everything we do is opinion based anyway,
well,
unless we're doing a news show and we're not doing that. So,
Well, we broke it down. We even broke down that Dogs of War track pretty much. And it's not that it was a bad recording. It was not that the vocals were that fucking bad. It just something about it just didn't seem right. So if you get that first impression, it kind of ruins it for you.
yeah, yeah.
You got your
And
hopes up here and then they're delivering here.
it's
You're
hard
like,
to do.
"What
Yeah,
the fuck is that?"
it's hard. It's hard to do. It is. It's hard to deal with that. And I don't want to pick on. I'm not going to just pick on Motley Crue. The '80s bands, I think they all maybe probably within a year or two, you're going to see a big drop off of the hair metal bands because some of them are getting really difficult to listen to, even on tour. They're not really putting anything out. I mean, new, and that's okay. But a lot of these bands you're starting to see creeping up here, final tours, the final go round. I just hope most of them stick to their guns here. Like, for example, a band that we both really like, Lynch Mob, supposed to be on their farewell go round. I mean, George Lynch is a busy dude. He does a lot of projects. He'll keep going. But Lynch Mob, really, they had they even been relevant for 20 years? I mean, I don't remember much past Wicked Sensation, to be honest. But they're going out on this last tour, and I think you're going to see a lot more of those. And I just hope that more of them are legit. More of them aren't Kiss and Motley Crue and bands like that. There's a lot of these '80 bands, and they're sounding rough. And I think they're finally realizing that it's probably about time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think like one that I know for sure, I hope gives it up because it's not even a lot of these guys like Stephen Piercy,
Yeah, oh, yeah, well, that goes without saying.
and it's not even Rat. It's
Yeah,
Stephen Piercy of Rat. So you're kind of tarnishing your old band's legacy and reputation just for some touring money.
yeah,
It kind of seems crappy. Some guys get away with it. Now, Tom Kiefer can still do his thing.
yeah.
He's
Oh,
still
yeah, yeah.
very, very, very good. His voice is still pretty strong as far as covering for a whole band. Now, so like bands like Striper that are still full bands together that still can do everything they've done and put out new albums, go on tour. It's more of a job for them because they didn't reach the height that, a Rat did back in the day or a Cinderella or Motley Crue or any of these guys. So I think they depend on the money a little more.
Yeah.
I don't want to call it a money grab because they're still doing it functional like they've been doing. So it's just going along with the flow, but they've been out for 40 years.
Yeah.
So how long much longer can they really go? I mean, Michael's 61, his voice is still good, but Halford's what, 70?
Yeah.
So you never know how long your voice is actually going to make it. Dickinson's got to be up there.
Yeah.
These guys are definitely getting older, but somehow there's a lot of them are staying good. But you get the occasionals like Steve Piercy. I'm sorry,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just not Don Dokken. Guys like Dokken's a big one. I think which I wish would hang it up.
Yeah.
I really wish he would. I love the band. I love their music. But man, Don just he's hurting himself. He's hurting. I
Well,
don't know,
I mean,
man. It's disheartening.
what's your fucking solution for that though? So basically, all those guys were all about the same age or a little older than each other. So what
Right.
do they do? You know?
Well, I could tell you if you can't do your job, what do?
Yeah,
You
you quit.
retire or you find something else to do. But the ones that drive me crazy, and I know it shouldn't bother me in the slightest, but you got bands out there that are touring and they might have one person that wasn't even an original member join the band at some point
Yeah.
and then continue to tour as I mean, the one band that jumps in my brain's like Quiet Riot. Even though I do know that Rudy Sarzo's coming back to play bass on this next tour they're doing. So
He
that's
was
kind of cool.
he was playing with them that when we saw him.
Yeah, he goes back and forth, I think. So him being one of the people in the band, it's like makes it a little better. But I think the other guys were none of them were original members.
No, hell no, none of
So
them.
so it's like those kind of bands. I don't really, I don't know. I'm on the fence with that. I'd like to see them if they can't perform to the quality that really, I guess it's up to them. But if you're as a fan, it's hard to watch if they're bad. It's
Okay.
hard to
Well,
watch.
let's put it this way. So, are you okay with somebody say let's take Dokken. Let's say Don Dokken. And Don says, I'm ready to retire. I think I can still write songs until I'm dead. I can still
Oh yeah.
write material. Would you be able to accept, where I'm going with this? Could you
Maybe.
accept Don replacing himself with somebody he wants to see sing his songs and sound good doing it as long as he's writing the songs? Now, would you be okay with that?
Well,
And
yeah, I'd be okay with that. I'd be all right with that. I mean,
so it's a different drummer, a different guitar player, a different bass player, and a different singer. None of them are original.
well, it wouldn't be a
But
different drummer. It wouldn't be a different drummer. Mick still is about the drummer.
but I'm saying it's going to come to that
Yeah,
point too. So
yeah.
do you say, okay, I'm giving you my blessing to continue the Doc and band name, and you all you'll do is just sing the songs that I write, and we'll go in and record them and stuff. So he's still kind of got his hand in the band and guiding them
Hmm.
for when
I,
he's gone. Well,
I
how would
don't know
you
if
feel about that?
I think you would have to. To me, I would tweak the name. I wouldn't keep riding on the Doc because everybody that's going to know that Doc who Dockin was. I mean, like what's his name, Steven Adler. Well, when he was kicked out of Guns N' Roses early, he still tours the country playing Guns N' Roses, but he calls it Adler's Appetite.
Yeah.
So name it something different. Don't run on the name itself. Tom Kiefer goes under Tom Kiefer. He doesn't
Well,
go under
okay,
Cinderella.
but I'm throwing this scenario out at you. So it's a
Right.
Don Dokken approved band. Would you have a problem going to see somebody performing Dokken songs?
It'd be like going to see a tribute band. It would be
I
it would be
understand
that
that.
way. Yeah.
I understand that, but it would be like a sanctioned band.
Right.
And seeing guys play. This isn't going to be like Kiss doing the Avatar bullshit.
Yeah. No.
You
Yeah.
would still see people performing the music. I'm just throwing it out there. It's just a fucking
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. I mean, I think they got free reign to do whatever. And I think if that's how you continue the band and you stay music relevant, and you can't sing, but you can write songs, and you want to write songs for the band you were in and replace them with a stud singer, I wouldn't have a problem with that. It could either go one way or it's going to go one way or the other. People would accept that or reject it. Personal opinion. Like Great White went out, with
Yeah.
two different singers. They had Great White and you had Jack Russell's Great White. So which band was more true? Was the guys with more members, or was it the voice of Great White
Yeah, that's all
that
a legal thing.
yeah.
That's all a legal
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm
and
just saying. So even if Don Dawkins said, "Okay, I'm just gonna from now on when you guys tour, you're going to be Don Dawkins Dawkins
yeah, yeah, something like that.
or
I
something
would
like
be
that."
okay. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I mean, it'd be like any other tribute band to me, but I would, it's like a little more sanctioned, like
Yeah,
you said.
exactly.
That
So, he could be retired and sitting on his ass at home and paying them and still collecting some money on the royalties and the merch and shit like that, but he doesn't have to go out and do it. So I'm
right.
like this. I'm kind of like if it's a special situation like that and it's agreed upon, I might go check a show out like that.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have
I'd
a
give it a
problem with that
shot.
because the problem I usually have with these bands is the singer. So if you got somebody that can replace yourself and you're okay with replacing yourself and letting the band go on, hey, who am I to judge on that? And there's a lot of there's bands that are based on their singer, and there's bands that weren't really relevant. Their singer was never the main piece. I
Yeah,
mean, you got bands like Trickster going out right now,
with two
kind of
guys,
on their.
right?
Then they got two of them. There's two guys, the two main founders of Trickster, and I'm sure they got a backup band or whatnot. But they're going out and doing their club tour, and they're calling it kind of their summer of '89 revisited or whatever the hell they're doing, and adding their little niche to it. But Trickster is one of those guys that they never had much fame and fortune either, and I think they still sound good.
Yeah,
So that's not one of the bands that I would say, I think you need to hang it up. But a lot of bands like them are going to have to call it pretty soon. I mean, just unfortunately, even guys like Helmet, from the '90s,
yeah,
as we talked about in the past, that they couldn't get enough sales to even have a tour here. They are coming back though.
yeah.
They figured it out and they're doing smaller venues, like I said. So I might get to go over in Columbus in March and check them out.
Okay.
Because yeah, but they're a band that, if you're not selling out small range video venues, it's probably time.
Well, there's still that market. Okay, your smaller venues, you could still fill that up for name a fucking band, any fucking
Yeah,
band, and do a smaller fucking tour that you might be able to afford and get the seat. It's just like Wasp. Wasp isn't playing arenas; they're playing the
right,
smaller clubs, and they're selling the clubs out. So why
right.
would you why would you quit doing it if that name can still bring them in? And it's Blackie.
Well,
That's it.
to be honest, you're selling out smaller clubs. I get it, but you got to think that's like them having to continuously take a pay cut to do what they're doing
Okay,
because you're
all right,
going
but
from yeah,
at the
yeah,
same time, if you could do a job that you fucking loved, and
That's
get
what I'm saying.
enough money to survive on it, wouldn't you fucking
Yeah.
do it?
Yeah, if they can survive on it, I mean, I'm sure they've got to weigh the pros and cons of that. Would they be better off doing something else? But at the time, and these guys have been around for 30, 40 years, they're not going to know much else to do unless they're doing, grabbing an acoustic guitar and playing bars 4 nights, 5 nights a week in their town and covers and stuff, just like a normal local musician would to foot their bills. So, I mean, yeah, I'm not any way, shape, or form blaming them for trying to keep going if you can do the job well. I just worry about the bands that don't do the job so great. And that's what I'm getting on with, the some of the suggestions I've had that brought up so far is bands I just think are hurting themselves. They're not. If it's all about money, then I'm not a fan. If
Yeah.
it's the love of doing what you're doing, then I got no issue with it. But man, they got to sound better than what they do.
So you
I
have a
just
moral dilemma on whether or not you should still listen to these guys. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, yeah, and even guys I love, you got Jeff Tate doing Operation Minecraft, going around doing this last tour next year. He's doing the Minecraft in its entirety for the final time. He says, "I hope he stays true to that." But then, excuse me, I found some disturbing news out the other day, and I didn't care for it much.
Uh oh. Go ahead.
He wants to do Operation Mindcrime 3 with this band that he's got. He wants to end the story that was started in 1 and extended in 2. He wants to end the trilogy. He's got like a trilogy. You know how I am with trilogies. I
Yeah,
wanted my
I
trilogy
kind of
too.
know. I'm familiar with
Well,
that.
I'm so on the fence about that because number one, 1 and 2 were both Queensryche. Okay. So you're doing a trilogy of that, but you're only one person in the band. And you're kind of running with a thing that you created with all these other people. And you're kind of hogging the credit for, you're kind of hogging it up to do a part 3. I don't know. I'm on the fence because I wouldn't mind hearing if he could redeem himself because part 2 was not my cup of tea at all. But it's
Okay,
kind of
okay,
scary if we
all
fucks it
right.
up.
Let me ask you, what was it about Minecraft 2 that you didn't like? That
Ah,
completely turned you off?
you know what? It was just there wasn't anything to catch my attention. There
Okay.
wasn't it wasn't like it was a horrible album that I never want to hear, blah 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 blah. It just, when you're putting out a part 2 of something, it's got to be damn close, if not equal to or better. Anything less is a letdown. And
Yes.
that it was music wasn't as good. The lyrics I didn't think were as good. The whole premise of the album was like
Did you follow the
not good.
story though? I guess that's my question. Was it continuing the story? Because I just listened to the songs and I was like, I didn't get what was going on. I
I
didn't.
thought, yeah, I think that it wasn't as clear cut. I mean, there was a story there, of course, but it wasn't near as clear cut as the original, and that
Okay.
made it hard. It made it hard to get into. It made it hard to want to listen to over and over. Like you say, sometimes you got to give it a bunch of chances. And maybe I should go back 20 years later now and try it again. And if it come out with a 3, if he does actually come out with a 3, that's what I would probably do. But the it would scare me a little bit because man, I don't want to hate on him for putting out a shit album. And I don't want him to any way interfere with Minecraft. I mean, Minecraft 2 didn't kill it, but will Minecraft 3 actually just destroy everything Minecraft did?
Do
by
you
being so
need
bad.
it? Do you need it? Why does he need this so bad? I guess that's the question I would like to ask him. Why do you need to
Yeah.
do a Mind Crime 3 instead of just a different fucking concept album and make it badass? Don't
He
make it
said he
anything to do with Mind Crime.
he said he wants to close the story. He wants to end
Huh?
the story.
The fucking story was over on the first one.
Well, apparently not. And in his mind, there's stuff going on. Maybe they're going to go farther into the revolution, the cult, or whatever the hell. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are, but that's a little scary. But I would never tell Jeff Tate to quit doing this thing because he still sounds good.
Yeah,
He's not touring under Queensryche, but he does play the songs. But they have their own band. They
yeah.
do their own albums. So,
I mean, but
but yeah, that was just
how long do
that
you think
worried
he's
me.
got? How long do you think he's got?
I think
The
he's
five
I think
ten?
if he does Mindcrime 3, I think he could probably be done after that. I mean, he probably could be. I don't know that he will, but I don't know how Jeff. He's got lifestyles kind of. He's got like wineries and stuff. Maybe he wants to do it until he can retire comfortably. You know, I'm not real sure, but I think maybe this might be why he's throwing a Mindcrime 3 idea. Go out on top, go out with that finished. He don't have any skeletons in the closet. He doesn't have anything left on the table. He did the trilogy he wanted from the get-go. He got it done with or without the rest of Queensryche, but he did it with people in this Operation Mindcrime band.
Okay, so
That might be it.
you're supporting him as a songwriter.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Songwriter, singer, and Operation Mindcrime, the band. I mean, the Queensryche part of it, I'm torn about that. But if Queensryche come out with an Operation Mindcrime 3 right now, the actual band Queensryche, I'd probably have a problem with that because of the songwriting aspect. But they're entitled to. I don't know
Oh
why
yeah.
they wouldn't be, but maybe they can't. Maybe that's one of them legal things you said.
Well, I mean, Todd's doing a good job with Queensryche.
Yeah, I like Todd. I think Todd's if you can't hear Jeff Tate, he's the next best thing. And I think the band is, they're still touring pretty major.
Yeah,
They've got some like they support arenas with certain bands and stuff. So yeah, they're still doing their thing to the utmost. And Todd is definitely a multi-talented guy. I have no beef with him. And I don't even think Jeff Tate has a beef with him. He probably said, "Hey, he does them shit justice." I would hope he would be that, complimentary because he should be.
yeah.
But, So is there any you can think off the top of your head that you just like wish would go away? Any bands that you might have that
I no. I mean, I was kind of bummed that Kicks decided to retire, but I mean, they didn't have any of the. They had success, but it was nowhere near like some of the big bands that we were just talking about. They
all
weren't,
right.
but they were a solid band, and they probably said, "Fuck it," we're tired of doing it. You
Well,
know,
and
it was probably a
it
good call because they still
probably.
sounded good last time I heard them.
Yeah, me too.
So it's something that we have to come to the realization that we're going to see a lot of it. I mean, no effects
Yeah.
got out. You
Yeah.
know,
And they're probably those bands are probably doing the right thing. They know what their limitations are. They know that it's time to say, "Hey, we don't have it like we used to," or we're getting, look at Tim Alexander, Primus. He had enough. He had enough. It wasn't that he hated less and Primus music and all that. He was just, I'm tired, physically tired. I just tired of the road. I'm tired of doing this and that. And Nico's medical problems. So I mean, a lot of different things you can retire and get out for. And like I said, I can't climb into people's brains, but if you know you're not doing good at a job and you're getting paid less and less because you're playing smaller and smaller places, I just think it'd be you want to not put yourself through that if you could. So I guess that's my angle on things. Maybe it's so far off that people are like, ah, that's stupid. But
Well,
you
I
know,
mean, how many bands have had to deal with the loss of a key member? I mean, Rush.
yeah. I mean, Rush. I mean, I can't see Rush ever doing anything. It'd be hard.
Well, but
Uh,
that's my other fucking point. So you have bands. It was like, you know even Zeppelin, when John Bonham died, they
right.
they never did Led Zeppelin. I mean, they got his son to play a show
Yeah.
as Led Zeppelin. They had Jason play over
Yeah.
in Britain for like a show, maybe two, I think it was one show. So they did their own shit. So they knew early on. So do you
Yeah.
are you behind that?
Well, like Jason, I remember when Jason had his own band and they come out and they sounded like a modern day attempt at Led Zeppelin. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, okay, man, I understand you're trying to go for this using your name, but I think the using your name stuff is a little worn out for me too. It's like you can be Jason Bonham band, but why do you have to try to sound like Led Zeppelin or Kingdom Come or whoever you want
Well, okay, okay, and I'll throw out the obvious.
to?
You know, Wolfgang is he's going under his own name. It's still the Van Halen name. Everybody knows his dad, but he's not trying to sound like his dad. He's not trying to sound like old Van Halen or even the last Van Halen that was out. He
Right.
completely is doing his own thing. So that's what Jason should have done. And who's Jason playing with?
Well, he was playing with Sammy Hagar and them, but
Well, yeah. So,
he
but you
got
know what I mean.
he's not coming back. They asked him. Sammy said he didn't want him back next year. Kenny Aronoff's going to stay in that. Which I don't think there's bad blood there. I just think that they got Kenny and they like Kenny and Jason. He played in Foreigner for a while before that, so it's not like he's out of a job ever. He can find work. But yeah, I mean, half the kids will follow their parents' footsteps. The other half will do something completely different, and it just depends on the kid because I've seen like Corey Taylor's kid from Slipknot. He goes out and sings for a band that wears funky makeup and tries to sound like Slipknot. I mean, they're just going for that brass money ring at that point. But you
Okay.
got other kids that aren't going to follow that they like Jay Weinberg for God's sakes. Yeah, he played drums, but he didn't play for Bruce Springsteen like his dad. He didn't play for anybody that sounded like that. He plays for Suicidal Tendencies. So it's like, they got their own routes they're going to go. And you think of kids over the years like Jacob Dylan, he didn't go for his dad
No, he
kind of
didn't. He didn't.
thing.
That's what I'm saying. So we've seen different cases where you got that Hollywood nepotism type idea where, oh well,
Uh,
you know so I kind of, if you're doing your own thing, more power to you if you've got the talent from your genes. But to just
yeah,
cash in on your fucking parent's name is kind of cheesy. Yeah, I get that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, just you don't go out and play Led Zeppelin because your dad was in Led Zeppelin. 40 years ago, whatever, 50 years ago now. But he does other things, so I can't say that he just relied on that. But I just think you're going to see a lot of bands. And it's funny because a lot of these bands out touring now were bands that were done years ago, and all of a sudden they're coming back out.
So who are we talking about here?
Oh, you think of the bands like we've talked about in the past. Guess Who?
Oh
You
man,
know,
I
you
like
know.
the fucking Guess Who though.
I know, but
I
but
like some Guess Who.
they took a 30-year nap and then now they're coming back. You know, sometimes bands figure out when their song might be hot, might be on the radio, or something's mentioned about them. They zoom right out and play. And little place, the venue we got around here's had quite a few of those. Orleans, these are one hit wonders. Little River Band had more than one hit, but they were, man, how long they were big in the 70s, and
Okay,
they
and
were
that
probably in their 30s.
all that does is go back to that point that I brought up to people. I said, look, a lot of these guys, they don't know anything else. All they know is touring, albums, home, album, tour, home, album. They that's all they have done for their whole lives. They don't know anything else. So I feel for them, but at the same time, it's like call it quits. Are you going to
Yeah.
call it quits?
Well, that's the sad thing is they're okay with doing 1,200 seat venues or 500 seat clubs, and people still come out. That's the crazy thing. If they still come out for, I know there's a concert up here up north of me that it's going to be Ambrosia.
Oh my
Ambrosia.
fucking god.
Yeah,
Okay.
they had one hit song, and it's called they call it the Yacht Rock Reunion. And I'm like, there's only one band I've ever heard of out of the three, and you had one hit, but you're going to book the Civic Center, and I bet money it's going to sell out. So that kind of thing, it doesn't really make me mad or make me discouraged with the bands. It just baffles me. It really does. I mean, I'm going to see a Yacht Rock next year,
Well,
and I really
who are you going to see?
Toto,
Oh god.
Christopher Cross,
Now that'll be
and Men at
good.
Men at Work.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah,
And you
they're
didn't
all
get me a
down.
fucking ticket for that? Men
I
at
haven't
Work?
got one yet. Yeah, Men at Work's the opener, believe it or not.
Oh,
Out of those
you
three.
got to tell me what day that is cuz I have got to try to go to that.
It's a Sunday in August. I can tell you that.
Oh,
It's
fucking
like the
yeah.
2nd of August or 3rd or something like that.
You better get me a ticket if you get a ticket. I'm telling you right
Yeah, I
fucking
want
now.
to because I'd
I want to
really
see
like
Men
to
at
check
Work.
that. I'd like to see Toto. I mean,
Is
Toto.
Colin Hay going to be there?
I guess it's just Men at Work. It didn't say the original Men at Work, but it said Men at Work. I'm like, and those okay bands where it would fit in the category. Why are they still out? But guess what? I'm excited to go see them.
Well, I am
I
too.
mean,
I would love. I was a big fucking Men at Work fan back in the '80s, like that.
and I don't think those kind of bands will ever die. I mean, you think Men at Work was always a fun kind of band, but I mean, Overkill is still one of the best songs ever.
Oh yeah,
And then you got Toto's got more hits than you want to remember.
I'm
It's not
sure.
just Hold the Line. It's Africa. It's Rosanna. It's like there's a big catalog for Toto, and I like Christopher Cross. I did like
Uh,
Ride the Wind and all that. So
yeah,
it's like,
that was probably an excellent. His hardest rock song ever was "Ride to Win."
yeah, probably Ride the Wind and what was the theme from Dudley or
Well,
Arthur?
okay.
The theme from Arthur. Yeah, yeah. So, but I mean, it's like I guess if you can still because each one of those guys though those bands hopefully they sound good live, but I'm saying that they have been consistently played on the radio. I've heard Men at Work on radios at least once a week. I hear something. I hear Christopher Cross if it might be on a TV commercial for God's sake, but I still hear him. And then Toto's all over the place. I mean, everybody covers Toto,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like they're just massive underground, but they're a progressive '70s band that's been solid their whole career, and it's you know those kind of bands. I don't even know who the members are. That's one of them things. Like you said Colin Hay. Yeah, I know he's in Men at Work. Do you know anybody else from Men at Work?
No, not offhand. I don't even remember the
Do you,
guitar
do you
player's name.
know do you know anybody's name from Toto?
No,
See, I
no.
don't know. They could all be dead and not have a single member. I wouldn't freaking know it. So it's like those bands are, I guess maybe they're sneaky good. I doubt if Christopher Cross is not in his own band, but
Yeah,
the
that
other,
one goes
yeah,
without saying. So, I mean, somebody from Toto is probably still in that band.
yeah, yeah, I'd say there's probably a few because they've been they're one of those kind of bands that maybe had a person die here or there, but I don't
Yeah,
see them making headlines for kicking people out and a lot of drama and shit like that. So, but I mean, there's plenty of bands that are coming to their end that have to make the decision. The why and the road's coming.
yeah,
And I guess the whole point of my call it quits here idea was I hope a lot more bands make better decisions than some of the ones that are hanging on for dear life right now. And it's because it just I feel bad for them because it's like, man, you guys were so good, but now I seen you this last time, and you ruined my memory. You ruined my memories, and not that they give a fuck about the memories of me, but it's like, you know what, dude? I bet there's more guys like me out there than you think
yeah.
that were like, oh man, last time I saw Motley Crue was so bad that I don't even remember,
The
the good
good.
stuff. Luckily, when I did see him, Vince played the old stuff was still good. It was still good.
Okay.
He struggled with the mid '80s stuff, but the first couple albums, the songs he did off there were decent. That saved it for me. But not every band's so lucky.
Yeah.
Not everybody. Stephen Piercy, please, man. I watched a video of him a couple weeks ago. It's like I'm so glad I didn't go see him. I had the opportunity at one time. I was like, I'm so glad
Yeah,
I didn't go see
he
that.
was in Columbus and was going to do the first album. He was going to do the first album in its
I would have
entirety.
probably puked if he would have played it like I've heard him sing some of those.
That's why I passed on going. I mean, I saw him a few years back over at Versailles, and it wasn't as bad as some of the video I've seen in the last year or two.
Right. Well, you never know, and that's one thing though. I gotta say I only based it on a couple videos I've seen. Now that guy, actually, you think about a guy like Stephen Piercy. He's done the whole gamut. They went from playing arenas and festivals down to like mid-sized clubs. Then I saw him at a local bar in Piqua.
Yeah,
So it's like, and then go back up the hill a little bit to a 1,200 seater or whatever it is. So he's kind of hit the rock bottom. He persevered. So maybe I got to give him more credit than what I'm giving him. But
well, he's
yeah,
fucking 72, Mike. I mean, he's
yeah,
in his 70s. He just turned 70,
yeah. I don't think I'd want to be
71, something
working.
like that.
I don't know if I'd want to work any job when I'm 72, even if I loved it. I don't know that I would. I guess music would be a different kind of animal, but
Yeah, but again,
yeah,
it goes back to the point. It's like, Stephen, we love you. We love the body of work you've done, but it might be time to say, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think I
yeah,
should do this
yeah,
anymore.
yeah. That's a better
I don't
scenario.
think I should do this anymore.
Yeah, because he's top three of the bands that I had in my brain when I thought about this episode. It was going to be Rat, Motley Crue, had to be number two, and Dokken.
Yeah,
Dokken really, really hurts my soul when I see anything he does because I remember how he was one of the powerhouse vocalists
And that's the point.
And
That's the point. You had three very distinct vocalists in their career. You always knew when Vince was singing something. You always knew when Stephen Piercy was singing, and you always knew when Don Dokken was singing. You knew it. You
yeah,
knew that was them immediately. It's either Don Dokken or solo Don Dokken, or same way
well,
with all of them.
and I'll give you this: Vince just sings it a little rushed and this kind of sounds screechy a little bit. But the other two, Steven and Don Dokken, they changed how they actually sang the songs. I mean,
Yes,
they're changing it, stopping the influctuation that, whatever pronunciation is changed in the line of music.
yeah.
It really throws you off and it makes you kind of angry because it interrupts your love. You're listening to the song, you're loving it, and they fuck it all up by singing the words in different spots. You can't sing along. It's like, and it sounds bad when they do. So it's like, yeah, it's just, man, please, for the love of all that's holy, make a decision and either, like you said, get a different person to sing the shit for you, or just call it for God's sakes.
Okay, and
That's me.
a perfect fucking example. Everybody knows that David Lee Roth was always a great frontman, but I'm seeing old Van Halen footage from 79, 78, 79 coming out of like from the first album when they were playing shows. And I'm watching this going, yeah, he's putting on a great show, but he still didn't sing half the shit.
Yeah.
He ne- so consistently, David Lee Roth didn't sing half the fucking lyrics to the Van Halen stuff that he did with Van Halen.
Yeah.
So is why is it that everybody's memory is going, oh, well, yeah, I don't remember that at that show. Were you fucking high? I mean,
Yeah.
he's singing
Probably.
half the song. And yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing cool kicks and shit like that. But this stuff coming out, all it's doing is it's ruining all their people's memories. Because now
Well,
you got to
yeah.
see, yeah, you got to see him and some, and fuck off. Oh, I forgot the fucking words.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? I just recently saw an interview. I think it was with Alex, if I remember, where he talked about he made a mistake in Everybody Wants Some. Something about where he says looking for a Mookie. He said that wasn't even the song, that wasn't even the lyrics. He forgot them, so he just spit out gibberish, and they decided it sounded cool, so they left it in.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, so there isn't no words there that have any fucking meaning in that part of the song. So it's like, ah, dang, man. And he made a career out of that scatting and around bullshit. But I mean,
I mean, he was entertaining.
yeah, but
I can't say that he was not a good frontman. He could get the crowd going, but what did you sing, motherfucker?
well, see, that's why and it's different for everybody, but that's why I'm a Van Hagar guy because I thought Sammy was a better vocalist, period. Not showman, not frontman so much, but I thought he sang the song better, and I just like his voice better. But David, yeah, he's right where he belongs on Vegas shows right now. He's doing whatever he's doing.
Well,
But
you know, and
Sammy was
again,
my
it was cool, but it's you still go. He sang on the albums. You know, David Lee Roth sang on the albums, but the live show, it's a guy dancing around on stage.
yeah. And it was always fun to watch, but I guess if you
Yeah,
go back in
it was great to
time,
see it visually. It was cool as fuck, but we're not talking. He wasn't knocking it out of the park at every show.
no, I think he owes a lot. David Lee Roth owes a lot to Michael Anthony, and he owes a lot to everybody that was in his band and David Lee Roth band that sang
Yes,
backups. They
yes,
were bailing him out on a everyday basis, kind of like Dokken right now. That
Oh
bass
yeah,
player, that bass player sings like a freaking god to me. I think he's great. And he does the background vocals so well that you almost forget about how bad the lead vocals are.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that kind of saves them a little bit. But, yeah.
So I don't know, Mike. You think we've kind of covered everything, or
Well,
what?
I mean, there's a million bands that I could dig out and say, should they be going? Should they keep going? It's really not. It's everybody's going to have their bands that they loved that might still be trying to do it right now and aren't doing as well. They're going to feel the same way as about the top three that we did that I just mentioned. So I think everybody has that. And like I said, they have their reasons for liking it, loving it, or not caring that they're still out doing it badly. They don't give a shit as long as they get to see them. There's
Yeah,
people like that, out there. So, but yeah, I think for us, as far as our kind of likes and our era of Gen X for the '80s bands, I think we covered it pretty good for just a few of the top heavy hitters. That's a subject we could always go back and hit on when we may see or hear something that just grinds our fucking gears. And we say, did you hear so and so the other night? Oh my God, they should call it quits.
yeah, yeah.
We'll always have that. So I think we're good for this episode in particular. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we can just go ahead and wrap it up then. Uh, Check us out on Rumble, YouTube. Hopefully, we'll have some live streams coming up here in the near future. But
Yeah. Yeah.
overall, I think you might get used to seeing us doing this every once in a while. This still different format. I'm kind of liking it. It's a
Yeah.
little bit more convenient for us.
I think it is. It's no traveling, no setting stuff up for Skeeter, and it's like we can choose our own time. We don't have to worry about trying to fit in a window. We can do it as late at night as we want, or middle of the afternoon, and just pop in, do the episode, and be done. I think it'll be a good thing, especially shitty weather and all that good stuff. And
Yeah, we're getting
I think it'll
old.
work out. As long as
We're
this
getting
works
old.
out, make sure everybody out there though, tell us if you hear us okay. If there's any issues you got, anything you don't like about this format, we'd be glad to address that, see what we can do to improve the
And
situation.
and we will give everybody a heads up. So if you would like to see us try to knock out a live stream, that should be coming
Yeah.
here in the near future.
Yeah,
So
I'd like to do even a live stream of just bullshitting. Just talking
I
about
think
whatever.
we've got that coming up. I've got somebody I might have to tap as a guest here soon. So we'll just have to wait and see. So
Yeah.
this is Skeet.
Washington Mikey.
See ya.
Peace out, my folks.